All right, if you're watching this video, chances are you didn't show all of your steps. So please watch this carefully. Write down everything that I write down so that you're sure that you have solved these equations correctly. So the first thing we want to do is draw our river. And now we need to tackle this equation. We've got a 4, which is a Klingon, and we've got a 9 that is a lonely guy. So we always get rid of the lonely guy first. Now, you don't need to leave change opposite here because you're trying to get rid of this thing. We don't want to make it any more complicated than we have it already. We're trying to get rid of this stuff. So let's not leave change opposite because that just kind of clutters it all up. That gives us a double sign, which we then really want to get rid of. So just ask yourself, how do I get to 0? How do I get rid of minus 9? And the answer is to add. So we add 9 to both sides. So on your paper, you should have plus 9 equals plus 9. That is a true statement. We can cancel these out. I don't want to see a 0, just clutters things up. I just want you to cross it out because we don't have it anymore. So I bring down my n over 4. I bring down my equals in the middle, and negative 3 and a positive 9, when we add these together, we get a positive 6. Now I need to get rid of the Klingon. How do I get rid of division? Well, the opposite of division is multiplication. So we multiply by 4. Now, how does this really work? Well, since this is written in fraction form, I could put a 1 underneath here to write this in fraction form. Over here, I don't need to do that because 6 is a whole number, so I can just write it as times 4. So now when we come over here, we see very clearly that the 4 on the top cancels out with a 4 on the bottom. So all I'm left with is n over 1, and I don't really need to write a denominator of 1. It's really not necessary. I can just write n. And then I have my equal sign, and 6 times 4 is 24. We're not done yet, though. We need to prove it. So we use our parenthetical promise. Everything else is going to come down, so this is how my check is going to look right now. So the first line is the equation itself. The second line is us putting 24 in for the variable. My third line is following the order of operations. So I divide. 24 divided by 4 is 6. And I bring down everything else. And now my first, second, third, fourth line is to do this, to truly do it and prove that it works. We leave change opposite, and a positive 6 plus a negative 9 is negative 3, and that equals negative 3, so I know that I'm right. Moving on to B, we draw a river, and we need to get rid of the 2, and we need to get rid of the 3. The 2 is the lonely guy, the 3 is the Klingon. So let's get rid of the 2. Now, many of you decided to add 2 because you saw this minus and said, oh, we need to add. Well, I ask you guys, look at what I just wrote. What is 2 plus 2? It's 4, right? So we don't want to add 2 because we're trying to get to 0. We want to subtract 2. So we subtract 2 from both sides. When I do that, look and see what I've just written. I've written in blue, minus 2 equals minus 2. It is a true statement. So these cancel out. I don't want to write a 0. I just want to cross them out. They're gone. Now what do I have left? It's not just a 3p, my friends. It's a minus 3p or a negative 3p. Remember, minus and negative are the exact same thing. And I come over here, I have my equals in the middle, and now I'm going to need to leave change opposite. A negative 28 plus a negative 2, the signs are the same, and I get a negative 30. My final step is to get rid of this Klingon. Right now, it's being multiplied. We understand that to be a multiplication symbol. How do we get rid of multiplication? We divide. So we use our division bar. We do not use the division sign. And we divide by negative 3 on both sides. These now cancel out, and I'm left with p equals, and a negative 30 divided by negative 3 is a positive 10. We're not done yet. We've got to rewrite everything except in place of the p we write parentheses, and I'm going to put the 10 in for my variable. And now we do the work. So order of operations says we multiply first. 3 times 10 is 30. Everything else comes down on our third line. And finally, I need to leave change opposite. And on my fourth line of my check, I actually do this. A positive 2 plus a negative 30. The signs are different, so I subtract them. And I get a negative. And that does equal my other side, so I know that I'm right.